Tonight, island's COVID-19 death toll increases to 332 following yesterday's confirmation of another virus-related death, while 108 new cases takes cases now to 14,658. Applications are being invited from private entities interested in conducting COVID-19 tests to participate in the Jamaica National Agency for Accreditation's pre-approval accreditation program. Still tonight, Minister of Justice Delroy Chuck reiterates the importance of Jamaicans supporting NIDS.
To get the NIDS card, various checks will be done, including a GP authenticating or verifying who you are. That will be matched other means of identification so that once you have the card, it will be unique with a national identification number.
And the Minister of Finance and the Public Service, Dr. Nigel Clark, assures the public that there is no cut in the expenditure on education in the third supplementary estimates. Good evening. In our latest COVID-19 update, the island's death toll increased to 332 yesterday, with the confirmation of one additional COVID-19 related death. 108 new cases of the virus were also recorded, taking the total of cases recorded on the island now to 14,658. According to the Ministry of Health and Wellness, a 43-year-old woman from Westmoreland is the island's latest fatality. Of the 108 newly recorded cases, there were 38 males and 70 females ranging in age from 1 week to 90 years. The cases were recorded in Kingston and St. Andrew with 38, St. Catherine recorded 21 cases, St. James 18 cases, Trelawney recorded 8 cases, Westmoreland 7 cases, Hanover recorded 5 cases, St. Thomas 4, Clarendon and St. Anne 3 cases each, while St. Mary, St. Elizabeth and Manchester recorded 1 case each. The country also recorded 24 recoveries, taking the total of recovered persons now to 11,833. In the meantime, applications are being invited from private entities interested in conducting coronavirus COVID-19 tests to participate in the Jamaica National Agency for Accreditation pre-approval accreditation program. Target groups include private laboratories and point-of-care testing facilities, including doctors' offices, health centers, and pharmacies. Chief Executive Officer, CEO of the agency, Sharon May Shirley, said that the pre-approval program aims to fast-track the accreditation of entities desirous of providing COVID-19 tests. Mrs. Shirley was addressing a virtual press briefing on the accreditation of private laboratories providing COVID-19 testing, held yesterday by the Ministry of Industry, Investment and Commerce in association with the agency. She expressed that the facility is part of the government's strategic response to the pandemic. Now, this move comes in the wake of recent requirements from the United Kingdom, UK, the United States and Canada that travelers must have a negative COVID-19 test in order to enter their jurisdictions. This has led to the increased demand for testing for the virus locally. Noting that the international standards that govern medical and testing laboratories are lengthy, Mrs. Shirley said that in the first instance, the agency will fast-track the accreditation process so that entities are required to meet 12 minimum requirements. Continuing with the news tonight, Minister of Justice Delroy Chuck has called on Jamaicans to support the National Identification System NIDS, as it will prevent identity theft from affecting hardworking Jamaicans whose information might get into the hands of criminals through cyberspace. While responding to issues outlined during the 3rd Joint Select Committee on National Identification and Registration Act 2020 virtual town hall meeting on Wednesday, Minister Chuck reiterated the importance of Jamaicans supporting the new identification system while explaining the security of the system.
Firstly, to get the NIDS card, various checks will be done, including a GP authenticating or verifying who you are. That will be matched against a passport if you have one, a driver's license, your birth certificate, other means of identification, including checks with the TRN, so that once you have the card, it will be unique with a NIN, a National Identification Number. Now, with a renewal of a passport, we hope that PICA will not require that you get your passport verified again, your photograph, because you could easily check it against your NIN, your National Identification Card. And also, one would hope that PICA would ask you for another original birth certificate, because in the issuing of the card, that would have been checked. So what we have said before, that the card will allow cardholders to access government service, private services easier and more efficiently.
Meanwhile, its program director, Warren Vernon, highlighted that the Passport, Immigration and Citizenship Agency, PICA, reported over 2,000 cases of passport fraud between 2009 and 2019, while the Ministry of National Security would have reported over 400 cases involving theft. He also explained the application process.
So the enrollment process is divided into a pre-enrollment and also an inline enrollment. And the pre-enrollment, the entire enrollment process is similar to the process that is used to apply for your visa. So similar to the process that you will go onto the US Embassy website and you supply information initially, we will have something like that where you supply all of the information as required on the law online, and once that process is completed, you will get a reference number and you will also receive an appointment date. And on your appointment date, you will visit the enrollment site for your biometric information, or in other words, your fingerprint and your facial image to be taken. And the enrollment officer and the supervisor will carry out additional vetting, and once that is done, they will associate the information collected with your facial image, your birth certificate, and also your fingerprints. That information will be transferred to a remote site for an additional 6 layers of vetting, and once approved, the card will go to production, and the card will be produced. We say personalized. Some persons may say the card will be printed. Then it will be shipped to the enrollment site and the customer will be noted. Citizen or ordinary resident will be noted, will be notified via maybe text messages or email. You'll go in, you'll collect your card, and you will also activate your card.
Mr. Vernon also outlined where persons can enroll for the NIDS ID card.
The proposed National Identification and Registration Authority will establish initially 24 enrollment sites strategically located across all parishes. If there is a need, we will scale up, and we are using existing government infrastructure, partnering with PICA and Jamaica Post to establish these sites. Once the authority is in place, those sites will be published once the authority is set up. We will have mobile enrollment stations set up to move around, but initially our mobile sites were specifically designed for persons with special needs, maybe persons with disabilities, persons who are at home and unable to go to the enrollment sites, youth groups, community groups, where you can have group enrollment, or corporate offices. So we do we have that as part of the plan.
Stay tuned for the full virtual town hall meeting presentation immediately following this newscast. In other news tonight, a man from Trelawney and his common-law wife who were charged with murder and conspiracy to murder arising from the death of a 4-year-old girl in Freeman's Hall District on January 11 were remanded into custody when they appeared before the Trelawney Parish Court yesterday. The accused 36-year-old Kevin Williams, otherwise called Bughead, a chef of Red Hills Road, St. Andrew and Freeman's Hall, is also facing the charge of wounding with intent, while the woman, 42-year-old Joan Turner, is before the court for conspiracy to murder. Williams, who is answering to the murder of 4-year-old Chloe Brown and the wounding of her father, Dalton Brown, was ordered to return to court on February 18. The incident occurred at approximately 1 a.m. on January 11, while the family was asleep at their home in Freeman's Hall. Williams allegedly gained access to the bedroom through the roof of Brown's home. He then fatally shot the child and shot and injured her father. He was later found hiding inside a closet at his common-law wife's home by angry residents who handed him over to the police. Still making Mello TV news tonight, the Minister of National Security, Dr. Horace Chang, has announced that effective April 1, the Major Organized Crime and Anti-Corruption Agency, MOCA, will formally and legally be designated an independent agency of the Ministry of National Security. The minister, in making the announcement, said the appointment date notice is a requirement under the MOCA Act and is a crucial step in the establishment of this independent, specialized law enforcement agency. Dr. Chang further stated that since the establishment of MOCA in 2018, the agency has consistently conducted its investigations and operations with the highest level of quality and integrity and has always done so independently. He said MOCA plays an invaluable role in law enforcement and the appointment date notice is a clear indication of the government's unwavering and uncompromising commitment to addressing the twin problems of crime and corruption in Jamaica. And those are some of the stories making news. We will return with more stories following concerns expressed yesterday by the JTA's president on a cut in the education budget. The Minister of Finance and the Public Service, Dr. Nigel Clark, wishes to assure the public that there is no cut in the expenditure on education in the third supplementary estimates. And the Jamaica Promotions Corporation, JAMPRO, has recently signed a Memorandum of Understanding, MOU, with the Caribbean Chamber of Commerce in Europe, CCCE. But first, we'll take a break, and then it's Christopher Scott with the sports.